Page 6 now, the death of life. 6 Democrats who are running for president support murdering babies. Not just abortion on demand, but they support killing babies who are alive post-abortion, outside the womb. Barbarians, one and all, these Democrat members of the U.S. Senate who voted to kill legislation that would have protected these children who survive abortion from being murdered.
It's a vote on yet another attack from our Republican colleagues on women's health and their right to access safe, legal abortion, this time in the form of an anti-doctor, anti-woman, anti-family piece of legislation that medical experts strongly oppose.
We're talking about situations when expected parents tragically learn that their pregnancy is no longer viable and there's a fatal diagnosis. What happens in those circumstances should be decided between a woman, her family, her minister, priest, rabbi, imam, and her doctor. It makes no sense for Washington politicians who know nothing about these individual circumstances to say they know better than the doctors, the patients, the family. The bill is solely meant to intimidate doctors and restrict patients' access to care and has nothing to do with protecting children.
And so Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, Kirsten Gillibrand, and Cory Booker, they are all on record now supporting murdering babies. Joining me now from Reston, Virginia, from the Media Research Center, director of MRC-TV, Eric Scheiner. Eric, they're all on record for infanticide, in my opinion, except there were a handful of Democrats who actually stood up for life in the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, there were 3, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia among them. But again, the big shocker here is the presidential candidates going on record. You know, Senator Ben Sasse said this bill is really about equal rights. It's saying if the child is born alive during an abortion, that it will receive the same medical care as any other child. That is what this bill did. And he actually quoted some of these presidential candidates with their campaign material, you know, before the vote, saying, you know, you talk about protecting the most vulnerable. You talk about protecting children and protecting kids. This is your chance. This is your opportunity to step up and do it. And they failed. All the Democrats, except for the 3, decided that they would vote against this measure, keeping that filibuster in place on the Born Alive Protection Act.
Keeping government out of people's lives is wrong. The fundamental job of government should be to protect lives, and these would be human lives that unfortunately now, I guess, is still legal to kill. One day, when the history is written of this period of time, they're going to look back on us as barbarians, pure and simple. But there is some good news out there, and there's a new generation of Americans who seem to be more pro-life.
Yeah, there is. In fact, in the last month, according to a Marist poll, along with the Knights of Columbus, in the last month, there's been a huge switch with all the stories in the news. Of course, I'm talking to you from Virginia, where we had Governor Ralph Northam talk about, well, you know, it might be okay to kill a baby after it's born if that's something the mother says they want to do. These type of issues, Ben Sasse's bill that we just talked about, it's constantly in the media. And guess what? A lot of people are saying they don't support late-term abortions anymore. And that's across the board, Democrats, independents, Republicans, but also a change on those that identify as being pro-life. And that is being led by Democrats and people under 45. Listen to some of these numbers. This is the Marist College poll. It's pro-life shifted from 20 to 34%. And that's Democrats that identify as pro-life. And the number of Americans 45 and younger went up to 47%. And again, if you look across the board, no matter what party, after 20 weeks, most people don't agree with a late-term abortion. It's about 80% of Americans that say, no, I disagree with it. But you look at the vote that happened yesterday, and you have to say some of these lawmakers are either dedicated to death, or they are addicted to the money they're getting from Planned Parenthood, or they have some other reason why they just can't say that they want to do the will of the majority of Americans, which seems to be, according to this poll, end late-term abortions.
Let's hope that trend continues. And birth rate apparently is a solution to global warming. If you happen to be the young, newly elected congresswoman from the Bronx.
Remember those people we used to see in the movies and sometimes on the street holding the cardboard sign that says, "The end is near, the end is nigh"? Well, that's a lot of these Democrats with climate change. They can't tell us when the world's ending, but it's coming soon. Because of climate change, the world's going to end. So Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez goes to social media with a video in her kitchen where she asks, you know, it's a moral question to have children now because of climate change, and we have a moral obligation to, you know, I don't know, end cow farts and end plane travel and do the Green Deal because of climate change. But she actually asks, that's a moral question. You know, it's the lack of urgency that's going to kill us. Is it okay to still have children? That's the moral questions he's asking because of climate change. I don't know. I see moments like this, and I begin to understand why there has to be warnings not to eat Tide Pods.
But really, I mean, when you look at what she's saying, it's straight out of the Communist Manifesto. It really is. In fact, she is the Marxist socialist gift that just keeps on giving for us. Eric, thank you.